Thanks for tuning into Sin's Workshop. We're having a wonderful day. So, this is my September reading wrap-up video. This one might be a little long. I'm forewarning you right now because I actually reached that goal of 16 books this past month. I will say a couple of them were audiobooks. I am listening to audiobooks a little bit more while I work around the house or edit my book. So yeah, I'm just gonna get on into it. Yay, go me! First book, and it counts, is Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon Volume 2. My husband got it for me for my birthday, so it was literally the first thing I read come September 1st, since my birthday was August 31st. Absolutely loved it. I love Sailor Moon so much. One of my favorite things when I was a kid growing up and now rewatching it. Man, it was campy. I really do like Sailor Moon Crystal too. But so yeah, that all easily gets 5 out of 5 stars. Next was The Cruel Prince. This one was an audiobook. I picked this one up initially because I'm like, okay, let me see what all the hype is about when it comes to Holly Black in this series, because I need to know what this hype is about. Does it live up to the hype? Especially because I was hesitant. I did not like her book, A Book of Night, but I've heard, all over the book, social media platforms, Instagram, BookTok, if you don't like Book of Night, you will like The Cruel Prince. So I went into it a little hesitant. I was like, all right, let's see what all the fuss is about. I loved it. I think Jude is amazing. She's a better female protagonist than in Book of Night. She's smart. She's clever. She outwits everyone. And you know what? I love that enemies to romance that's going on between her and Carden. She is a little manipulative, but I like it because she does everything to try to find the best solution for pretty much everyone so that people don't have to keep dying. I really did like her dynamic with Carden, and I like how you're getting to see a lot of fragile stuff, fragility, words, they matter, fragility with him. So I'm excited to read book 2 and 3. Hopefully I can get to book 2 this month with an audiobook, so we'll see. Next was The Great Texas Dragon Race. That was a gift from the publisher. Thank you so much. Absolutely loved it. You like dragons, you like racing, and it takes place in Texas, so it has a very contemporary feel to it. I guess you could kind of call it urban fantasy, almost. And it's for young readers, but, it's very diverse. It's fast-paced. I love our main character and her relationship with the dragons. I like how the story just evolved, and honestly, I want a sequel. I want a book 2. I want more of this universe. It doesn't have to follow, even if it just follows different characters, I want to know more, because your main character has a dragon sanctuary farm. I want a dragon sanctuary farm. I love dragons. Clearly, I love dragons. You think that's all I've got? I've got more. After that, The Last Heir to Blackwood Library. Usually, I really love Hester Fox. The Witch of Willow Hall was probably going to be my favorite book by her. And, The Widow of Pale Harbor. Also, I love those two. This one, I think it fell a little flat for me. I was a little frustrated with some of the characters. Ralph and pretty much the house servants, they keep secrets from your main character. And I did like her, she wanted to share the library with the people in her town and be like, they don't have a library, they don't have a bookstore. I have this massive library here. Why am I keeping it to myself? I did like that about her. I just wish people would talk to her more. It's you keep telling her not to do things, but you're not giving her any valid reasons. You're not explaining the situation to her. You're just keeping secrets. So of course she's going to keep doing things contrary to the way you want them done. You know, just secrets are no fun. Secrets are someone, basically. That's basically the premise of the story. And then there was the romance. I mean, she always does have a side romance in these books. I wasn't really connected to it. I wanted to because I liked Ralph as a character, and you definitely do feel some tension between them. But again, there's more happening behind the scenes that, you know, your main character is not seeing, so you're not seeing it. So there's kind of this disconnect between you and that romance, and I wasn't feeling it as much as I did with her previous two novels that I loved. This Delicious Death, this is the second book by Cottingham. I liked it more than My Dearest Darkest. Don't get me wrong, I did like My Dearest Darkest, but it felt very much like a debut book. I think a lot more things could have been fleshed out in that book. This one, perfect. I loved it. You've got, I don't know if you read that book, The Unchosen. It has a lot of vibes with The Unchosen. Virus, people turn into zombies, but they're still, you know, functioning. There's a synthetic meat company. It's just like, hey, if you are a hollower, as they call them, you know, you got sick. If you got sick, you became a hollower, so you eat, you know, people. You become a zombie, basically. So a synthetic meat company is just like, hey, just register with the state. We will make sure to discreetly mail you your meat human substitutes, you know, so that you can continue to be a functioning member of society. And I think that that's a really cool twist on the whole zombie trope, you know. I liked it. So you've got these 4 girls, and they're going to Music Fest, and someone is, like, dosing them so that they can be locked up. They pretty much want to put them in jails, you know, like little internment camps. Like, if you're a hollower, you're going to go in an internment camp because you're dangerous. So someone's trying to make them even more dangerous because they're not really dangerous at all. You know, as long as they get their meat weekly, you know, they check in with their government official, then they're fine. You know, they are functioning members of society. They're going to go to college. They have dreams and ideas. They're not just dead. I guess they're just kind of like cannibals, basically. And they don't want to be. You also have an LGBTQ romance in here, and I think it's really cool, very interesting. I just really liked that zombie element in the story. I think it was really well done. It was very fleshed out. It was unpredictable the way the story developed, and it was a really good book. Quick, easy, especially if you're looking for something to read for the holiday season. Definitely pick up This Delicious Death. Next was Queens Catacombs. It's the sequel to the Queen's Contest. So it's a retelling of Jack and the Beanstalk. You know, you have a kingdom, it's separated, upper kingdom, lower kingdom. And pretty much all the women are in charge. Just think Barbie. Literally, you've got the Queen, the Queen's Council, all women, the Knights, all women. This is a society that is run by women, and the men are kind of just the ornaments on the arm. I really liked it, especially because it is a twist on Jack and the Beanstalk. You have Jack, she did the contest, she snuck up to the upper realm, she did the contest, she won, now she's queen. What comes after? Well, it's not all cracked up to be. When she's got a bunch of people who are working against her, you've got her boyfriend Connor, who I just want to be like, you're Knuff, you are Knuff, come on, you're okay. He even makes a comment, he's like, and this book came out like way before Barbie, by the way. He looks at books and he's just like, all these, you know, all the heroes in these books are women. I want to read something for me. And then he says that because he's struggling. You know, he's struggling to find his place in the society so that he can be a good helper to Jax. And there's a lot of political intrigue, good character development, and I don't know, I feel like if you love the Barbie movie, you're really going to enjoy this book. If you like unique Jack and the Beanstalk retellings, so this is basically up there. Next, Find Him Where You Left Him Dead. This was such a good book. It's so creepy. It's basically if Jumanji was horror, Japanese horror inspired. It's super creepy. It's really disturbing. They have to play this game. It's a matching game. And they're in kind of like this realm where everything has been twisted. And they have to save their friend. And they have to find all the pieces, put the queen back together. And it's topsy-turvy. Did not see that ending coming. I really want a sequel. It really just was unsuspecting. Lots of plot twists, especially near the end. Lots of plot twists, and it's a wild ride, and it is creepy. If you're looking for another quick, easy, creepy read for the Halloween season, you have to read Find Him Where You Left Him Dead, because especially if you like Jumanji, it's a game. It's a twisted game here, as if Jumanji wasn't twisted enough. This one is also very, it's disturbing, but it's not scary. It's just like, read it. Just read it. It's really good. After that was Weyward. I think you remember me saying Black Candle Women. I didn't really like that book a lot because I really couldn't connect to the multiple point of views. This is probably a perfect example of multiple POVs done so well, especially because there are 3 different time periods. You've got the 1600s, you've got mid-1900s, 1942, and then you have 2019. So you are going through 3 different time frames, following 3 different women, and you're seeing who these women are. They're all part of the same family, it's just different generations. And one woman, I will say, she is dealing with domestic violence. I mean, the story begins with her running off to escape. Her story, anyway. What was her name again? Kate. I always get Kate and Violet mixed up. Kate is fleeing. She's taking her great aunt's cottage. She's fleeing because she has to escape her overbearing, controlling, manipulative, abusive partner. Especially because now she's pregnant. And she just needs to get out. There are scenes where she does reminisce about his abuse. So be wary of that. In Violet's case, she is raped. It's not explicit, but you do know what's happening to her in that scene. And then you have Alta, who is on trial for witchcraft. You get to see how all 3 of these stories intermingle and who these women are. You get to know who these women are. And I think that that's really good. And then there is also, it's magical realism. There is some witchcraft in there. Alta is a witch. But is she guilty for what she's on trial for? I don't know. I'm not going to tell you guys because I want you to read the book. It's very empowering how it's used to help these women. And these women, in turn, help other women. And I think that that's really empowering. It does create a sense of community for them. And I thought, it was a good story. And ultimately, I really did love it. All right, Certain Dark Things by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. I love her books. I loved Mexican Gothic. I loved Gods of Jade and Shadow. They were awesome. They were phenomenal. Hands down, some of my favorites. This one was no different. It takes place in like kind of a neo-futuristic Mexico City, and there are vampires, and there are different types of vampires. You've got revenants, you've got the traditional ones, as we know, who can't go out in the daylight and live off of blood, and then you have, I can't remember their exact names except for the revenants. But, whew, perfecto. I loved it. Loved it. Especially as a Mexican woman. I know you wouldn't know it to look at me, but I am. Absolutely love this book. It was, again, short, quick. I just wanted a happy ending, though. I'm kind of mad. It was so bittersweet. I was just like, God damn it. Why couldn't you give me a happy ending? But I get why. But still, that's how connected I was to the characters. I was just like, ugh. Wanted them to live happily ever after. It broke my heart that they didn't. But I get why they didn't. And I'm happy they didn't. Begrudgingly, because I think it probably would have cheapened the story if they had lived happily ever after. But, you know, maybe they'll find each other. I'm hopeful. After that was Lightstruck. You know, this was one of my highly anticipated reads of this year. I think I liked the darkening more. I just think I liked the characterization a little bit more. I liked the enemies to lovers romance a little bit more in that first book. And the plot seemed more unique in the first book. Whereas with this one, it just seems like a flip, but also a copy of the first book, if that makes sense. I don't know quite exactly what I was expecting, but I was expecting a little bit more. Don't get me wrong, I do like how Vesper finally comes into herself. You know, in the first book, she didn't really know who she was. She was kind of lost. She just really had one goal, revenge for, you know, just revenge. She wanted to find her father and get revenge. And in this book, it's more of just her finding her worth. And I think that was really cool. I liked that aspect. I did like the change in the fantasy, the light specters. I thought that was kind of cool. But I don't know, it just seems like instead of the storm, now it's the king's light. So instead of the queen's store, it's the king's light. You know, it's doing the same thing, you know, eating the city from the inside out, whereas the storm was eating the city from the outside in. So it's going, and now this one is going, I don't know. So that's why I say I feel like it was a flip, but also kind of like a copy. I just wanted more. I don't know how else to explain that. Maybe when I finally get around to writing my review, I'll get to it. Legends and Lattes. Everyone needs to read this book. You like dragons? You like Dragonlance? You like Dungeons and Dragons? You need to read this book. It's cozy. You like cozy mysteries? Here's a cozy fantasy for you. It was perfect. I have no complaints about this book. I want more. It was really cute. It was really sweet. Absolutely loved it. Legends and Lattes. I already know it's going to be one of my best books of this year. It is my best book of this year. It's going to be on that list. Within These Wicked Walls. I liked the book. I thought Andromeda was a really cool character. I don't know. I liked it. Don't get me wrong. I thought it was creepy. I liked the dynamic between Andromeda and, you know, her love interest. But I can't explain it. I like the story development. I like how Andromeda comes to love herself and accept herself. And she's like, oh, I'm not pretty as her. It's just like, we're talking about you're beautiful. It's just, I felt like it dragged, I guess you could say. I felt like the exorcism part of the story dragged a little too much, and I think a lot of that could have been condensed. I get it. She has to exorcise this entire house, and she's doing it room by room. But I think it could have been condensed just a little bit more. It felt like it was too long. It did. It felt too long. Spells for Forgetting. I really liked how some of the side characters got only one chapter. They only got one chapter. And sometimes that bothers me, but not in this case, because I thought it was really well done. I thought they were inserted at the right moments. You know, they weren't just there to exist. They added to the plot development, and they were important chapters to read at those moments that they were put in. So it was very precise, the storytelling. I liked the romance. I liked the mystery. I mean, sometimes I wonder, did August kill her? Did he kill her? Or did someone set him up? Like, what exactly went on? And by the time I got to the end, I was just like, damn. I would have never guessed that. Not in a million years. And again, magical realism and, you know, some witchy stuff going on in the book. So I think that's another good read for the holiday season, the Halloween season. All right, A British Girl's Guide to Hurricanes and Heartbreak. This was so cute. I did get a little annoyed with Flora sometimes, but I get it. You know, she's dealing with grief. She's not quite sure how to deal with grief. She has a lot of guilt as well. She's dealing with she's a hurricane. People call her a hurricane because she doesn't quite know how to get her emotions in check. And I'm just like, girl, I feel you. Maybe that's why she annoyed me sometimes, because I'm just like, this is too real. Like, this is too relatable. Like, I totally feel you. I totally get it. Because sometimes my emotions do get the better. I'm 32 and I'm still learning to be like, eek. And I'm like Flora when she gets up with, when she's like, I'm sorry. He's just like, I love you for who you are. He sounded a little bit like my husband sometimes. It was cute. So it was a fun, lighthearted read. It does deal with grief. And I like how books like this, I think, are good reminders that there's no one way to deal with grief. People deal with grief in a lot of different ways. And I'm also glad that I did not have to have read A Cuban Girl's Guide to Tea and Tea Parties. Is that the name of it? The previous book. I'm glad I didn't have to have read that book in order to have read this one. All right, last two. A Multitude of Dreams and Silver in the Bone. So A Multitude of Dreams was an Edgar Allan Poe retelling, fantasy, romantasy with the Jewish representation. It was creepy. It has creepy vampires. And no, the vampires are not romanticized in any way. So I think that that's a nice reprieve from all the romantasy surrounding vampires. They're not alluring. Like, these are vampires. You see them, you run from. So that was a nice change of pace. Serafina, her character development was phenomenal. At first, I wasn't sure I was going to like her, but by the end, I was just like, you go, girl. The side characters, except for Giselle, I'm so glad she gets hers. Jocelyn and Colin. Throughout this entire book, I was just like, nothing bad better happen to them because they are sweethearts and I love them. And spoiler alert, nothing bad happens to them. So you can read the book knowing that these two side characters are safe. And then you have Silver in the Bone. I've never read anything by Alexandra Bracken before. This is the first book I've read by her. I haven't even read Lore. Do I own it? Yes. Have I read it? No, not yet. It's, despite what the cover looks like, it's not a King Arthur retelling in the way you would think it is. I really did enjoy the plot development. I will say, at first it is slow. I would say those first 3 chapters, the first 5, let's be real. The first 5 chapters are a little slow. Your main character, she's a little abrasive. I quite like her brother a lot. Tamsin. So, you know, you have to stick with it. I do definitely think it was a really good read. I'm really excited for the sequel, especially after that ending and everything that happened in Avalon. Woo, it's contemporary. I guess you could say this is another one of urban fantasy. They're from Boston, and Boston girl here. They're from Boston, and they go to Avalon. I thought that was really cool. I loved it. And it does play on a lot of the Arthurian myths that we know. It does play on them in order to build the magic and fantasy of the story, but it's not really a King Arthur retelling, so to speak. So that's it. Those are my 16 books. I'm sorry this video was so long. I tried so hard. 16 books. Stay tuned for my TV Read video. And thank you all for sticking with me this long. Please don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share with all your book reading friends. And on that note, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day and happy reading.